The Dominican Republic and the Bahamas have doubled their tourism industry in the last 8 years. What can Jamaica learn from these countries? How can Jamaica's tourism industry start growing again after 8 years of stagnation? Does the current Jamaican government have it in them to grow the tourism industry and start increasing visitor numbers to Jamaica again? Why are other Caribbean countries achieving record tourism growth over the last 8 years, while Jamaica's visitor numbers have fallen slightly over the same period? Countries like the Bahamas and the Dominican Republic have doubled their visitor numbers, while visitor numbers to Jamaica have stalled. All the boasting and hype by Jamaican politicians over the last 8 years about record tourism numbers to Jamaica are false information and trickery. Jamaica has arguably just experienced its worst 8 years of tourism growth since we got independence in 1962. Jamaica's tourism industry has been in a state of stagnation since 2017. In fact, visitor numbers to Jamaica are slightly less at the end of 2024 than they were at the end of 2017. Unless we acknowledge that there is a problem in Jamaica's tourism industry, we will never get around to start fixing the problem. There were 4.3 million tourists visiting Jamaica during 2017. Then we have the same number of visitors in 2024 of 4.3 million visitors. This would have been a great calamity in any other country in the world apart from Jamaica. Because, a government is not supposed to take its eyes off a country's #1 industry, as tourism is to Jamaica. 50% of Jamaica's economy revolves around tourism. Therefore, unless the tourism industry is growing, the rest of the country cannot grow. Even now, when Jamaica is going through a recession, the government is still boasting about prosperity. The succeeding Jamaican governments have a long history of being power-hungry instead of caring for its people. They would rather lie to the people to keep them dumb, then use a combination of intimidation, bribes, and threats against any of the middle class that speaks out against their management of the economy. Some of the underclass will go to great lengths to protect their favorite politicians, not knowing that they are the ones suffering the most from their politicians' lack of managing the economy properly. So, why does our current Minister of Tourism appear to be doing so well and boasting so much about tourism growth over the past 3 years, since visitor numbers are actually declining under his administration as Minister of Tourism? Firstly, the country was just recovering after the pandemic, as businesses reopened. The tourism minister used the opportunity to boast about growth when it was really a recovery rather than growth. Secondly, the answer is something that the Minister of Tourism has no control over. Visitors were spending more money each year than they used to spend the year before. This was mainly due to the trillions of dollars that the USA government keeps printing each year to give to their citizens, hence the visitors had more money to spend each year. Of course, other Western countries such as the UK had given their citizens billions of dollars during and after the pandemic as well, etc. Hence, due to inflation and wage increases in the aforementioned countries, people have more money to spend. Hence, we had fewer visitors, but people had a bit more money to spend, and this is what Edmund Bartlett was boasting about. The Dominican Republic and the Bahamas didn't just sit back and rely on the visitors spending 5 to 10% more money each year and boast about that. Instead, they pursued aggressive policies that doubled the visitor numbers to their country. Jamaica's tourism minister going around the world parading himself as the world's tourism minister. While the underclass in Jamaica, whom the tourism industry would benefit most, they suffered and some have turned to violence and crimes to make a living. The Jamaican government keeps announcing about the few hundred students each year that will receive help to train in this or that specialist field. However, the headlines should be about what the government is providing for the tens of thousands of high school students leaving high school each year, without much hope of getting permanent full-time jobs. These are the people that need the most help from the government, the 500,000 Jamaicans who left secondary school and can barely read and write. Turning around Jamaica's fortune should be about providing employment for the hundreds of thousands of Jamaica's youths and young adults who need permanent full-time jobs. Many of these adults have 40 years to go before they reach retirement age, yet have very little hope of getting permanent full-time jobs, where they can look forward to having a house and raising a family with some level of dignity. When unskilled Jamaicans go abroad to work and better themselves in life, they just don't rely on one job. They are doing 2 or sometimes even 3 jobs. This is what the Jamaican middle-class politicians don't seem to understand, that some people need to have a second job to make ends meet. The politicians are highly paid to look after the people, but through greed they are operating other businesses on the side to increase their wealth, while the lower-class Jamaicans need a second job just to put a roof over their heads. There are no other sectors in Jamaica that can provide permanent full-time jobs for those who are poorly educated than the tourism industry. The tourism industry in rural parishes of Jamaica is what can also help some farmers, fishermen, hairdressers, and even some tradesmen to survive. Because it would provide that second job for them when things are not going well in their line of business. Some will take up part-time work in the tourism industry, such as working 2 to 3 shifts each week, while others will use the tourism industry for seasonal work, such as working 6 months out of the year in the tourism industry. As a diaspora for over 30 years, this is what I see people do in the developed world. Just to have that confidence that if things are not working out in other areas, someone can always go and get a full-time job on minimum wage within a few days. Many adults do not want to go back to college to get a diploma for one reason or another. Therefore, in terms of raising the country's literacy level, the government needs to focus on those who are still in school to make sure children are leaving high school with a decent level of education. If the government cannot train the child in primary school, how are they going to train the adults who have left school 5 years ago? The government somehow knows how to be crafty when they want to get a 200% or 300% pay rise, but when it comes to nation building, they present their plans to the people in a way that is oftentimes rejected by the people. For example, the way the government presented the 3 new international airports that it plans to develop, namely Negril, Holland, and Vernon Field. However, if some mega-large hotels were announced across the country, that would provide permanent employment for local people. Along with housing development across Jamaica, that could provide housing solutions to any couple who are both working full-time permanently. Then, the people would see the needs for the airports and associated infrastructure. The reasons for the mega-large hotels is that without them, it would be difficult to develop the rural areas as tourism destinations. There are many beautiful countryside scenery on the south coast of Jamaica that is suitable for ecotourism travelers. However, without the mega-large hotels resorts being used as bases to travel from, it would take many decades to develop those areas. This is ecotourism at its best, helping the local citizens to avoid destitutions, giving them a hand to live a peaceful and decent life in their environment, while at the same time providing the local communities with decent roads and proper drainage systems to avoid floods. Providing the funds for the government to develop irrigation systems for local farmers so that they can supply the hotel's industry. Thank you for watching another episode of my new series titled UK Pound 50 Billion Repatriation Funds to be Invested in Jamaica, UK Pound 10 billion loans for infrastructure programs, and UK Pound 40 billion foreign direct investments to build 200 mega hotels of 1,000 rooms each in Jamaica. Please click on the subscribe button. Share this video in your WhatsApp groups and send it to all your friends, as we try to demonstrate how the tourism industry can transform lives in Jamaica. Remember to let us know what you think about this video by leaving your comments below. Please keep your comments respectful. God bless you, God bless the Jamaican Parliament, and God bless Jamaica. Until my next video, peace and love. This is part 11 of my current series. Look out for part 12.